Welcome to the table. I'm Kelly, and I'm here to give you some tips on running an episodic campaign. Because isn't everyone's fantasy house MD? Just Hugh with his stern demeanor and me and nothing but... Okay, I'm getting off track here. Episodic campaigns can be great if members of your D&D group come and go from week to week, or if you want more flexibility in the tone and themes that you explore with your campaign, or if your group plays less frequently. Depending on how you set up your episodic campaign, you can have a ton of flexibility in the types of stories that you tell. Which leads me to my first tip. Before running your episodic campaign, or any campaign really, talk to your players and ask them what sorts of stories they're interested in. Ask them which episodic shows they like, and then use those as an inspiration for the types of stories you'll tell. Some examples of different types of episodic campaigns are mystery solving like Scooby-Doo, survival like a fantasy Lost, treasure and artifact hunting like Indiana Jones, or monster hunting like The Witcher, or a combination of all of the above. The TV shows that your players like will also give you an idea about the tone of campaign that they're interested in playing in. If you find that your players like very different episodic shows with different tones and styles, then you can set up a campaign that allows for the flexibility to play with different tones and genres. That flexibility comes from the home base that you give your players, which is my next tip. Give your players a home base in episode 0 of the campaign. Having a home base that can plane shift, time travel, or move around will give you tons of flexibility since you can have a new setting every week. The themes and tones of the stories in those settings can be wildly different as well. Just be aware that if you're making up original settings each week, this can be a ton of work and you can burn yourself out. But if you're using established worlds, then you can prep less. For example, if you drop your players into New York City to solve a supernatural murder, you don't need to do much world building. Whereas if you shift to a brand new plane and you need to come up with a power structure and a culture every week, then you'll quickly overwhelm yourself. The home base will be where you start and end each session and adventure. It doesn't have to be a building, it could be a town, an airship, a time-traveling phone booth, or anything else you want to come up with. Just as long as you can start and end every adventure there, and the players who may be absent can be doing stuff in their downtime at that location. Speaking of downtime, definitely make use of it. Since you're trying to fit an entire adventure into every session, you just don't have time to have your players go shopping or spend 30 minutes arguing with the innkeeper about whether or not their no pets policy applies to their hippogriff named Bernard just because he's wearing a tie. Anyways, in between sessions, ask your players what they would like to achieve, whether it's buying items, crafting new items, or doing research. Make all of these little tasks easily accomplishable between sessions so that your players come to the table fully prepared for the next adventure. If there are players that will be away from week to week, these players can be accomplishing larger tasks beyond just shopping. You can have them completing small side quests and bringing back smaller loot that benefits the whole party. You can use these downtime side quests to also account for keeping everyone at the same level. If you want to motivate your players to not miss too many sessions in a row, then I'd recommend using XP leveling. Your players will end up leveling at slightly different times, which is less typical for 5e, but it used to be baked into the game in earlier editions, and it can provide an interesting party dynamic. If one of your players has missed too many sessions and they're way behind, then it can have the opposite of that intended motivating effect. Then you can use those downtime side quests to bring them up closer to the party's level, since no one wants to spend an entire combat dropping and getting revived without ever being able to contribute. Since you'll need to be efficient with every session, you'll need to get your players focused and immersed right away. If you want to learn how to do that, check out this video here. And thanks to Spicy Toast for asking about episodic campaigns. If you have a topic that you'd like me to cover in a future video, let me know down in the comments. And hey, I appreciate you.